everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Boston Sports Nuts. I'm Paul Izzo, along with my good friends Ken Berman,
Hey, Paul.
Jim Russo,
Well,
and the date is March 20. March 20, right?
First day of
Two,
spring.
that's right. March 20, 2026, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic. We're going to talk a little bit about the Red Sox, the Celtics. We're going to talk a little golf and, of course, the NCAA tournament. But we're going to get started with the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. Jim, let's get your impressions of the tournament and anything you want to add to kick us off.
my impressions of the tournament was it was great. It's great. High level baseball. The games between the top teams were fantastic to watch. A lot of drama. The energy that the Venezuelan team and the Dominican team brought to the tournament was fantastic. The U.S. team represented well, except for their manager going on a talk show and saying they'd already got to the next round when they hadn't. But leaving that aside, it was really, really good baseball. Now, a couple of things I would say about it is, number one, the tournament is marred slightly by the fact that the managers of the top teams are basically answering to, 10 to 30 major league managers. I mean, in the last game, the Venezuelans were told that closer could only pitch if it was a save in the ninth. The United States were told that closer could only pitch in a similar situation, which means he did not pitch the ninth when it was tied. Alex Cora apparently told the manager that none of his guys could pitch back to back, told respective managers. This marred it. And the other thing I would say, my impression from the tournament, is a big picture. And that is the United States has got to make a decision whether they want to join the rest of the world. And by that, I mean, to the rest of the world, these international tournaments are as important, if not more important, than, say, winning an NBA title or winning the World Series. And, the catcher for Venezuela basically said that. And he's a Hall of Fame catcher. He's going to be a Hall of Fame catcher. So we got to decide this. Now, in hockey, we decided a long time ago that we're going to play top players in the Olympics. We're going to play them in the World Championships. A lot of players leave their teams when they get eliminated from the Stanley Cup. The NBA has come around after 92. The Olympic team we put out in 2024 was, at least 3 of the top 15 players of all time. And by the way, they could have lost in the semifinals and they could have lost in the finals. Baseball has been slow to come around to this. For instance, Scooble, I'm with Mad Dog Russo. That situation was just, I can pitch one game, and then he comes back to basically be a cheerleader. He's in the dugout, but he's not going to pitch. And he should have pitched the last game. You got 2 Cy Young Award winners on your team. So my big picture is, and baseball, this should be in the middle of the summer. They should suspend their season every 4 years like hockey does. And that's my big picture take. But overall, loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I agree with some of that. I think that I got to say that I think the criticism point about managers making decisions based on not wanting to expose pitchers to injury is a little overstated because they do that during their own seasons. They try to avoid back-to-backs or they try to use closers only in closing situations. If you Now in the World Series, you kind of throw all that stuff out the window. In the WBC, they don't throw that stuff out.
And that's my point.
Right. I
Other
understand
teams are treating this as big time stuff, and we still treat it as not a World Series game.
Got it.
And, I personally think we need to join the rest of the world and that the owners have to suck it up and that we need to realize that this is what's going on. We're going to be an island forever. And, by the way, the NBA in the 90s changed the title of their championship series. We're all old enough to remember from long, long time, it was the NBA World Championship Series. If you look at those banners on the top of the TD Garden, they say World Champion. No other arena has that, I believe. Maybe the Lakers. No other arena has that. The T-shirts we bought after the Celtics won the title say NBA Finals Champion.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA has come around. So is hockey. I mean, their champion
Yeah.
is the Stanley Cup champion.
Right. So,
Now
yeah,
hockey
that's a
suspended
good point.
a couple
That's
of
a
years.
good
Hockey
point.
didn't send their players, but then they did this year, and hopefully that'll be the trend.
Yeah, the other thing that occurred to me watching the WBC is that baseball has a problem which it cannot really fix, which is that a tournament like this isn't really getting at who the best team is.
No,
Because,
no.
and the example I always give is, the 1967 Red Sox. They had everything to play for down the stretch. Everything. They're trying to win the pennant. The Cleveland Indians come in and beat them 2 games on Wednesday and Thursday into Fenway Park. Cleveland has nothing to play for. They beat the Red Sox. The point being that it's hard to make baseball about one game. It just is. The worst team in baseball will beat the best team in baseball 33% of the time.
But that's the same. That's the same as, if that U.S. basketball team played Serbia or France, best out of 7, you could really, the U.S. would win 4-2 probably.
No, but
the
but I
NCAA
think it's more.
tournament,
Don't you think it's more so in baseball than
Sure,
the other
but-
sports?
Sure, but it exists. Like the NCAA tournament is one game, whereas the NBA finals, you're going to get the best team. But I agree with you. Baseball's different because of the pitching. For instance, if Paul Skeens was on full rest in his game, that would have been, if he could have pitched 7 innings in that game,
Well,
that's a
he only-
different game.
he
So,
only gave up
I agree
2
with that
runs.
in general, but it exists in baseball.
Yeah, they have. Ken, you were going to say. Ken, you were going to say.
Well, we only gave up 2 runs, no matter who pitched. But
Oh, I know. I'm just saying it would have been different. Maybe
so-
worse.
I have different stats about the WBC. First of all, the champion right now is Alexandra Usyk. The interim champion is Ajit Kabiel. Because when you said WBC, I immediately went to the World Boxing Council. So here are the top heavyweight contenders: Moses Ituma, Lanier Perro, Nelson Heisa, Philip Hergvik, Aslanbek Makhmudov, Dinero Piero, Martin Bacol, Gurjan Hofshanisian, sorry for these pronounced, these are unbelievable, Kem Lindquist, and Jermaine Franklin Jr. So I can do the middleweight class also if you'd like of the W.
No, I think we'll pass.
Okay.
Yeah, I
your
think
point-
I agree with Paul.
Okay. So my
it-
impression of the WBC tournament, I'm going to go to what I really liked about it. I thought the players were really into it, and the excitement when they won a game or they had a big hit or they, pulled it out, or, it just seemed to have a lot of the players seemed to be really into it.
Yeah.
And I found that part of it to be really cool, that it seemed like they really, like Jim said, they really cared.
Including the U.S.
Including the U.S. That part I liked about it. I don't think I watched enough. I would have liked to watch more, but when I watched, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it
And,
was. Well,
and-
another thing about it, I think the public, hockey calls this best on best. Okay, I think the public more and more want to see best on best. These games are clearly higher caliber, no matter what the sport, than what we watch in a regular season, especially. Because you have the top players going against each other And this best on best concept, again, I think the US has got to start to embrace it and not and accept when a Diaz has a fractured kneecap and the Mets lose their closer, or accept when Paul George gets hurt in the Olympics and misses a season. It's just going to happen, unfortunately. But I find best on best in these sports to be absolutely fascinating to watch. I love it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you, so just for instance, not picking.
And by the way, before you ask your question, ratings for this were very good,
Yeah.
baseball comparison wise. Yeah,
Well, my
sorry.
question is this, for instance, the Italian team did really well, right?
Yeah,
Great.
surprisingly. Yep.
99% of the players were from America.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's a separate issue. I agree with that. That's another issue. Yep. You don't find that in basketball and hockey.
Yeah,
the coaches might be from America, but the players aren't.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that all the guys were going to be from.
No, and the announcer said Roman Anthony was asked to play for Italy before he and declined, and then he got asked to replace Corbin for the U.S.
Now, I don't have a problem with it really that much because it was exciting. So, go have fun, play wherever. I don't care.
Well, I think one of the big challenges the sport of baseball has is there's so much of it. I mean, there's 2,400 games in a season.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games don't mean anything really.
Right.
It's just kind of eye candy on a random July night when you got nothing else to do. So to have meaningful baseball in the spring was a kick.
Yeah.
We just usually, in fact, in March, we usually have completely meaningless baseball.
Yeah. Right.
So when I'm in Florida, people say to me, do you go to spring training games? And I always sheepishly say, no. Because when I do go, I get bored after 2 innings. I don't know who the players are. They're not trying to win.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse to go sit in the stands, I guess. But no, what I liked about it was meaningful baseball. And unlike some international baseball of the past, when the Olympics had baseball, you can't say that really good players weren't in it.
No,
most of the best players in baseball were in the World Baseball Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that Dominican lineup. That was just stacked.
Now,
absolutely stacked. And,
and
here's the big question for baseball. Are they going to follow the NHL for the 2028 Olympics? Now, I would raise my hand 100% and say yes, but I'm not an owner. But I think the baseball fan would love to see that. And I think ultimately it would be good for baseball to send the best players, shut down the season for 2 weeks, and send the best players once every 4 years. I mean, these teams are making so much money in these sports. 2 weeks is not going to bankrupt any MLB team. No way.
Yeah, I tell you, if they had Olympic baseball, there would be some logistical things that would have to be worked out. Some of these foreign countries might not have the stadiums required. It would be an interesting idea to bring it back.
Well, it's back for 2028 and it's in the United States.
Oh, I know, but I'm talking about when it goes to other places.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So
I mean, Bryce Hopper after the game, who hit the big home run to tie it, was like, I really hope we can play in the Olympics. I mean, the players want it.
Yeah.
The players love this, the best players.
Yeah. Yeah. Pitching is always going to be the bugaboo. The teams have so much invested in these guys.
Well, one thing we saw in the WBC is kind of a elongated version of what we see in MLB now. People talked about these stacks lineups, and they were, but when the U.S., Dominicans, Venezuelans who had good pitching staffs, you're bringing in guys that throw over 95 for 1 inning. And that ended up shutting down the U.S. What did the Venezuelans get? 3? They got 3, 3 runs. You'd think the U.S. is going to win that game, no problem. The U.S. beat the Dominican 2-1. So these guys who come in the 5th and are throwing 97. I mean, and they know they only got to air it out for 1 inning.
Judge was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in the final game.
Yeah, and 2 of them were called, weren't they?
Yeah. Think
Yeah,
so.
now I just want to get to Aaron Judge for a second because I think the criticism of him is fair.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
he has really developed a habit of not delivering in big games.
Hmm.
true.
And you know, people say, well, Ted Williams hit 220 in the World Series. Well, he was hurt and he only had one opportunity. This
Right.
guy has had multiple opportunities. You know, you can point out he had a big home run against the Blue Jays, and you know,
Yeah,
he hasn't been completely hitless. But his performance, I thought that he left a meatball down the middle
he
of the
did.
plate,
He
Oh,
did.
yeah.
and you know, he just froze, and you know, there was it looked to me sort of like a hanging slider.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
really the one that was his chance
yeah.
there.
No,
Um,
he is Barry Bonds early in his career. If you guys recall, taking all the steroid stuff aside for this discussion, Barry Bonds allegations. Barry Bonds did not play well in the postseason for quite some time
yeah, that was when he was with Pittsburgh, right?
for Pittsburgh, and then he exploded. He went to the Giants, and he was just awesome.
He
So,
exploded for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for
oh,
sure.
I didn't mean it that way, but
Yeah.
yeah. So Aaron Judge, no, Paul, you're right. I mean, it's very fair. He needs to come. He needs to have some big postseasons.
Except Aaron Judge isn't like early in his career anymore either. He's been around quite a while already.
Yeah, but I mean, he's in his prime.
But we're not going to get too hard on Aaron
Right.
Judge because
No,
he's a
I'm not
Cape
gonna,
League.
and I'll tell
He's
you
a
why.
Cape League alum, Jim. He's a Cape Cod Baseball League alum.
True, and
Oh,
I'll
there
give
you
you
go.
another reason why. He embraced his captaincy. He took this on. He was one of the first players to sign up. He recruited apparently for the team. He was a model leader, carried the flag. I got a lot of respect for what he did in this tournament. So
I
I'm
mean,
not going to get him out.
nobody else hit in the last game either.
No, so I'm
No,
not
no,
going
I
to
mean,
get him.
So
Schwarber
I
struck
think
out
is
every
it,
time he was up.
I think, and I should have checked this before we came on, but I think if you took out Bryce Harper, the rest of the team had one hit.
Yeah,
In that
that was
game.
a
Yeah, he had 2 hits.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
it.
I think they were like 1 for 26 with 12 strikeouts or something. I mean, it was,
Yeah,
hey, look, that's baseball, guys, going
Yeah.
back to 1869. I mean,
And that's why one
pitching,
game doesn't
pitching,
necessarily produce the best team.
right.
it's a sport, you know, it's like the goalie, you know, the goaltender. A hot goalie can win the game. A
Yeah.
hot pitcher can win the game for it. Anyway, I think we have to move on to the Red Sox.
Yeah,
But a nice transition is to point out the Red Sox really acquitted themselves well in the WBC. Roman Anthony had 2 home runs. Wilyer Abreu had 2 home runs. He had a big 3-run homer against Japan. Garrett Whitlock, save for that, you know, opening the walk there to open the ninth, pitched well. Jaron Duran played well. Brian Bayo had a good start. Even Yoshida hit well
Yeah.
for Japan. Sadan Rafaela played. I can't remember how he did, but you know that's a good sign.
yeah.
That
No,
the
they
Red
played
Sox,
well, and one point in the final game, Joe Davis, the announcer, said the big winners here are the Boston Red Sox,
Yeah,
and he
yeah, he
ran
did say
down
that.
that list. So yeah, I agree that the Red Sox represented themselves very, very well.
yeah, and it's
Whitlock,
and it's a feel thing. You know, sometimes in baseball you just get a feel. Roman Anthony looked like a star. He just did.
Yeah,
He was involved in some great defensive plays. He was involved in some great, hits.
yeah.
He was at the top of the lineup. I think other teams. I think John Schmaltz or somebody said this guy looks like he could have a great career in
oh,
baseball.
people were raving about him. I
Yeah.
watched this post game interview with A-Rod and Poppy and Jeter and the host Burkott and
By the way,
during the games. They were raving about him.
By the way, that one hit that Whitlock gave up to score the run was the only hit he gave up in the whole tournament.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
He
He
was
gave
great.
up one
You
hit.
can't walk the leadoff hitter.
Right.
No, you can't. And the Wilyer Abreu home run against Japan, though, to me,
Yeah,
was
that was cool.
if you're going to take a single moment in this, that was the single moment. 3-run homer to take the lead, the highest recorded bat flip in the history of baseball.
That's
The
important.
entire dugout emptying. I think it was whoever the leadoff hitter is, vaulting the railing to get on the field. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was great. It was the Red Sox. It was great.
But if we're going to talk Red Sox, Paul, let's talk Red Sox for a second there. Down in spring training, which you don't go to, I'm told,
No.
because it's boring after a few minutes.
I don't go either. Ken.
Yeah, neither do I. Um, what do you think of the team so far this year? What's your thoughts?
Well, just going down the lineup of players that we just mentioned, if you leave Whitlock out of it, Anthony Abreu, Duran, Bayu, Yoshida, the new guy, Marcelo Meyer, the kid they picked up, Contreras. That's a formidable lineup.
Not
It
bad,
is.
huh?
And I look at the Red Sox, and right now they have depth at starting pitching. Now, that always evaporates very quickly.
Yeah.
A guy gets an elbow, a guy has a sore shoulder, a guy twists his ankle, but they got Crochet, they got Suarez, they got Sonny Gray, they got Brian Bayo. They got names. And they got the new kid from Pittsburgh, a video, what's his name?
Azevedo.
Azevedo. So they got players. Health,
So that so
health,
I
my
don't
friend.
often
Health.
agree with Felger and Maz, but they got two pitchers. What's their names? Early and
Totally.
Tolley that are
Yeah,
pitching phenomenal
yeah,
this spring, but are probably going to Worcester
Right.
because of their
contract.
service thing or whatever, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is I one thing I'll agree with them. If they're the better pitchers and they make your team better, then keep them. I don't,
Yeah, I disagree with you.
do you? I mean, it's not my money,
It-
so I'd rather
It's
they have the
not the
best
money,
pitchers.
it's the service time.
Yeah.
If that's what the players agreed to, then I would take full advantage of it if I were management, which is
And the other
that,
thing is they got 7 starters.
right.
So
Yeah.
if you don't put them in the minors, you're going to have to probably cut and eat a contract of a pretty decent pitcher,
Okay.
unless you move one of them to the bullpen. But those guys are not really, they're not bullpen pitchers. So,
But I'm going to
Right.
come at it as a dummy fan and
oh, I don't
say,
think it's
dummy.
being a dummy. If
if
you're
they're the
talking
best
about,
pitchers, I want them on my
all
team
right,
from the
if you're
beginning.
talking about the next Barry Bonds, I'd agree with you. But these guys dominating spring training,
I know.
a lot of players are in the WBC. So I mean, and even then, who are they pitching against? So I don't think either one of them is labeled as like the next Koufax. If that was true, then I'd say pitch him. But let's put him down for a couple weeks. Some starter, unfortunately, Paul's right, will probably get hurt. I mean, people forget they still got Tanner Houck on the roster, but he's probably
Right.
not pitching again this year.
Yeah.
And they got Cutter Crawford, who's going to the minors, I think, too.
Yep.
My take on the Red Sox is this, especially after watching the WBC. 2 big things I'm watching. They have 5 players for 4 spots in the everyday lineup, and 4 of them are left-handed. Hit left,
Mhm.
and that's namely Anthony Abreu, Rafaela, Duran, and Yoshida, who apparently is healthy. And he hit when he came here. So they got 5 guys that could start,
Isn't
and 4
Rafael
of them are
switcher?
left. So it's going to be tough to platoon them. So let's see how Cora works that out. And secondly, what's the deal with Cora and Marcelo Meyer?
Mm.
He's been reluctant to name him as a starter. He's used terms like whether he makes the team.
He needs to show
Yeah.
the same level of commitment to his defense on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
I heard one of those.
Cora's a great manager, so he probably knows something that I'm not implying, but maybe he sees something that we don't see. So I'm not saying he's wrong. I would just like to know what it is, and very curious if he starts opening day. By the way, another left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
a
I
real
remember
high draft
when we
pick.
left-handed hitters.
When we
It's like,
what?
Right.
now all of a sudden, we got too many left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
But no, I think that the Red Sox have a lot of players. If you were going to ask me big picture, what worries me?
Mhm.
What worries me is who's my number 2 starter in the postseason? Because you got to figure, if you look at that Yankee series, if I'm not mistaken, Garrett Crochet did his Garrett Crochet thing.
He did
right?
8 innings.
Right. And then they couldn't, then they really were struggled after that.
Yeah, I think it's right now. It would be great, but the Cardinals loved Suarez, loved him, so it could be him. And Azevedo, according to a former YD intern who knows a lot about baseball, says he's got potential to be pretty good. I think he'd be a candidate too. So I think you got 3 candidates there, depending. And by the way, by then, it would be early or Tolley, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But my point being, those are, I don't think Crochet, a healthy Crochet is a question mark. I
The
think
other ones
everybody else is a bit of a question mark.
sure. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But when you throw in Crawford, that's potentially 8 starters
Yeah.
who
Do they
are not, they're not all Crochet, but they can give you some innings.
do they actually have enough right-handed power?
Probably not.
Yeah, I
Probably
find
not.
that to be a little bit of a problem.
I mean, the right-handers are Rafaela, Story, the new guy at Durban at third, probably, and Contreras, who, by the way, caught in the WBC for Venezuela. He alternated with the Hall of Famer, the future Hall of Famer. And he actually he didn't start the final, but he got in the game at first base near the end, which is where he will play for the Red Sox. And the catches, both catches are right-handed, so get right. So you got what? That's 4 righties, 5 lefties. If Meyer plays second, no, 5 righties, 5 righties, 5 righties, 5 lefties. I think another big question is, because you have 5 players for 4 spots, if Rafaela hits 220, at what point is that worth it to have that absolute phenom in center field? And, another question for Cora and maybe the analytics staff.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, whenever I hear, it's a legit point, do they have too much in the outfield? I go back to the 70s and 80s when it seemed like whoever the Yankees brought out of the dugout was a good player.
I
And
agree.
we had Bob Bailey pinch hitting
I
in the
agree.
78 playoff
And
games.
to people who say that, I would say they played 3 games in the postseason last year. I believe for 2 of them, 2 of those outfielders were hurt. I
Right.
think Abreu came back in either the second or third game. In the
Yeah.
first game, they didn't have Anthony or Abreu, I believe.
Yeah,
It can't hurt. I'm sorry.
right.
It can't
So
hurt.
yeah,
And to his
I'd say
credit, Duran
Yoshida,
can play center field.
yeah, I mean, you tell Yoshida, look, dude, we're paying you. So if you're only going to play 110 games or 99 games, get over it. I mean, that's
Well,
the deal.
yeah, it's going to have to be it. Hey, look, I doubt Duran wants to DH on opening day, but he's probably is going to.
It's going
Yeah,
to be the number 3 hitter.
Yeah, because they're going to lead off Anthony, which I think is smart because Duran doesn't have a high enough on base percentage, even though he's so fast. He is so fast. I'm glad they didn't trade Duran. I like watching him play.
yeah.
He's
Okay,
I
so
think he's a fun player to watch.
we're gonna move on to the team on the hardwood, the Celtics.
Woohoo.
So the big story in the last 2 or 3 weeks is the remarkable, I think, return of Jason Tatum.
Mhm.
I think the way the team has integrated him into the lineup so far has been maybe better than what a lot of people were expecting, including Tatum, who was on record as saying, geez, I'm not sure how I'm going to fit in, and maybe I shouldn't come back, which was all nonsense. Ken, we'll kick it off with you. You've watched all the games. You follow them closely. Why don't you get us going? What do you got?
I go back to this every time we talk. I'm finding this to be one of the most amazing overall seasons they've ever had. Without Tatum, they were 20 odd games over 500. Now they're 23 games over 500. I think Tatum has come back and shown, even if he doesn't score, he helps their defensive rebounding out. He's a good defensive player. He's getting his moves back. And the 2 of them have played together a ton. So they know how to work together, him and Jaylen Brown. I thought the only difference that might have happened this year, but it doesn't look like it has really, is that Tatum had obviously elevated to number one on the team the last few years. I mean, he was the guy, and Brown was Robin, as we say, Batman and Robin.
Hmm.
So I thought the possibility of a problem could have been that he comes back at the five or so that it's not working but the two of them, I heard Brown in an interview, it's just about winning. They know how to play together. I think he's come back, and he looks like he's starting to get his form back too. His drive, he put a great drive on the other day, past uh, Porzingis. I don't know if you guys saw that where he
Yes.
switched, went to his left hand under the bat. He beat
Yeah.
Porzingis by a half. I just thought that looked like a real Jason Tatum right there. So I'm just amazed at how good this season has gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Go ahead, Jim.
I think at this point, it's really Jason Tatum, now getting to the point where he can gradually up his minutes and can he get into NBA playoff shape, which, some people have commented he's, a little bit over his weight from last year, which is perfectly understandable. Can he get into, because, yeah, I agree with what Ken said. He's worked himself back into the lineup. He's playing well. So I think and that's why it's, very, very fortunate and all credit to Jason Tatum that he was able to come back when he did, because it gives him 20 games, because as Sal says, playing NBA in October is not playing NBA in playoffs. So he's got to get in that, and I think he will. Now, what I would like to see with these two now, I think safe to say, top 10 players is they have figured out how to play together a long time ago. They are the Celtics version of Jerry West and Elgin Baylor in the 60s. So what I would like to see or try is, are there actions that they can run where they're both in it? So instead of a 1-5 pick and roll, or whatever Brown is playing free, say 5 pick and roll with Kada, or if Tatum's the 4, I guess now in the starting lineup, is it possible to work something where they're both in it? Because, you see what teams do. They used to do it to Tatum. They'd just double him off Kada, or, with Porzingis, it was different. That was just a whole, seeing him the other night just reminded me that when he played, the Celtics were awesome. They were phenomenal. So I'd just like to see maybe they could do that. But yeah, I'm very encouraged and really looking forward to the playoffs. And all credit to Jason Tatum.
Is it possible that Tatum works himself back into, which he probably already is very close to, and he actually has fresh legs for the playoffs?
Well, that was the theory about Michael Jordan in 1986.
Right.
I know everybody knows Michael Jordan, but maybe some people weren't alive in 1986, but he was hurt. The Bulls really didn't want him to come back, if you believe the media at the time, because they wanted to get the draft pick. He insisted on coming back, and then, he scored 63 in that famous game against the Celtics. He didn't win a game against the Celtics, but he was just surreal, and that was kind of the theory. He was fresh. So we'll see. Yeah, it's an interesting point.
This is how amazing this season has gone. So they're on a pace to win 57 games.
Wow.
If they do that,
that's incredible.
Okay, that will be their 7th best regular season in the last 40 years.
Wow.
And that's without arguably their best player. And I've been very critical privately and on this show of Joe Mazzulla. But I can't criticize. I mean, I can pick apart some of the things he does in games. That's part of being a fan, but I can't really say anything bad about the way he's handled this lineup. And he's not been afraid to make bold decisions and bring guys into good graces. I mean, Jordan Walsh was the the amazing
Right.
guy at the beginning of the year. Now he can't get off the bench. Luca Garza was playing. Then he, he's not afraid to make tough decisions. He's not afraid to move guys in and out. Um, Even the games they've lost, they lost to the Spurs, they lost to the Thunder. They've been a pain in the neck to every team they've played.
Yeah.
And now with this situation going on in Detroit, as we're taping this, we know that Cade Cunningham, their best player, one of the best players in the league, has a collapsed lung. You've heard stories, well, maybe he can come back in a few days or whatever. I don't know about that. I mean, collapsed lungs pretty serious.
Yeah. I'd say a
What
few weeks.
caused it? What caused it? Is
Right.
that something they have to be careful about? Um,
Yeah,
so
I
does it
think,
put does it put the number one seed in the East in play?
I read NBC Sports this morning, their website, and somebody said the Celtics should try for this. And then he lists the records that they would have to get, assuming, like, say, Detroit went 500 or Detroit went. No, this is. I mean, the Celtics would have to go lose one or two games really to be realistic. So I don't think it's realistic because I think the Pistons can play without him against some teams and win enough games.
They won last
And by
night.
the way, they're 4 back in the loss column, but they're really 5 because Detroit gets the tie. So
Yeah.
5 games with less than 15 games to play in that league. I don't think so.
Hey, I'll take the number 2 seed.
Yeah, I think that's the one they should focus on. And, they're focused on every game. That's Joe's philosophy, and it's the right one. The other thing, Paul, you're talking about 57 wins. That struck a memory to me because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did an interview together. I think it was last season. And they were talking about how much they've won together and all this. And Jason said, yeah, you give your speech every year. Apparently, Jaylen Brown gives a speech to the team every year after the 50th win and says how lucky they are, appreciate the fact that we win every year, not every team does. Something like that. Don't quote me, but we're not that far away from that little talk.
No.
Incredible.
No, those of us that took the over 42.
Yeah. By the way,
You've
that's what
already won,
everybody
right?
thought their record
Yeah.
was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to be 41-41. Right around there.
Not everybody.
Not you, Paul.
Not everybody.
I'm just not a gambler, so I didn't,
Did you
All
think
right,
they were
so-
going to be 43 and whatever, 39?
Yeah, so my last comment on it, I haven't really had a chance to get into the substance.
I'm
yet.
curious, though. Why did you take over 41? Where did you think they'd end up?
Oh, I just thought that with Jaylen Brown and the way they play all out to win every game, they'd at least get into the high 40s.
You were right.
You were right.
Yeah, and I also thought there was at least a puncher's chance that Tatum would come back.
Yeah.
Right.
So I really thought that was kind of an easy win. Like
Yeah.
I just thought to
Good for you.
myself, yeah, because they were too good to tank. So if you're too good to tank, you're going to be competitive. It was kind of in that middle zone. Anyway,
Yeah, I was just curious. Good one.
yeah, no, I got that one right. I've gotten a few
Kudos.
wrong. Hey, I had the Pats
Kudos.
win in the AFC too. That was my other bet that day. So that was a miracle.
Thomas.
So before we move on, I hate to bring up the pure Numenian evil, but the LA Lakers, the team that we love to hate, is winning like crazy. They've got their health. Are we worried about them? Can they get out of the West? And
Yeah.
I think the follow-up question for my basketball Krishnas, would we mind them out of the West? Because personally, I wouldn't mind if they won the West.
Go ahead, Jim.
Can they win
If
the
that's
West?
who we're going to play.
Can they win the West? Yes. Will they? Probably not. But they can because the playoffs, you get more rest. Okay, so LeBron is going to be, have days off. There's not going to be the whole load management. There's not going to be the whole, that kind of stuff that we all have talked about during the NBA season and none of us like. They have a legit big three that is now playing well together. People who said LeBron needs the ball. No, he doesn't. Anybody that's watched his career knows that he's one of the best transition players in the history of the game. He's a great cutter. I mean, he had 6 dunks the other night, 2 games ago. Luka is playing out of his mind right now, and he's playing better defense. He had 60 last night. They won their 8th in a row. And Austin Reeves is a legit great player. So they got a big 3. They got a good coach. They could win the West. I don't think they will if the Spurs or OKC stay healthy. No, I do not want them to win the West, because if they beat the Spurs, this isn't the NCAA tournament. It's not one game. It would mean they're better than the Spurs. If they beat the Thunder, it would mean they're better than the Thunder. And I'm sorry, this is a generational battle over more than 70 seasons, and the Celtics lead 18-17, and I don't want them ever in the finals again. And I say beware to anyone if they win it before they get Jokic.
So,
you heard it here on our prediction show, which I watched the other day. It's coming. My prediction long range, they will get Nikola Jokic in the prime of Doncic's career.
Yeah, Paul, your question, can they win the West? Unfortunately, yes, they can. I never want them to win the West because I don't want them ever to even have a chance at winning another NBA Finals. So I never want them to come out. I'd rather face Oklahoma City or the Spurs if those teams are better, because I don't want the Lakers ever to have a chance at winning another NBA championship. So now, Doncic had 60. He's averaging like 41 a game over the last whatever. Every time I think about that, I go, Dallas, what in God's green earth did you do? You got nothing for this guy.
Well, you'd have to go find Nico Harrison because he's been fired. So,
I mean, every time you think about this, you go, what kind of trade was this? Besides, as we all know, the league saying to Dallas, trade him to the Lakers.
By the way, kudos to Doncic. I hate to say that, but on the heels of Bam Adebayo, who incidentally got 60 against Miami in Miami, who shot under 50% in his 83-point game, taking nothing away from him. He got 83 points. Luka shot 18 to 30.
Yeah.
In that game. I mean,
he was making threes from anywhere on the court, no matter how far away they were. And by the way, like I think Paul said in our texting yesterday, Doncic and James in a series, they'll get every call.
They will.
They'll get every call. It's going to be sickening.
Guys, disappoint me. You really do. Celtics Lakers final. I'd take my chances just for the drama.
Yeah, it's the best drama.
You're like Shaughnessy.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
You just want the story. You just want the story. Ken and I are about history. We're about this battle.
I'm the history teacher here.
Well, I get the story. You just want the story, which, hey, look, I think Ken would admit, so would I. It's a better story. I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Because they could win. By the way, if they beat OKC, they'll be favored over the Celtics. So
yeah, absolutely.
They clear, and they should be. If they take out OKC, they're a better team.
Yeah, I can't handle that, Paul.
You got 7-game series, man. That team wins like 90-something% of the time.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on.
And one other thing to that, there's no guarantee it's going to be the Celtics. So we could be sitting here rooting for the New York Knicks. Oh!
Well, I preface this by saying, who would you want to? The point was, who would you want the Celtics to play?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I just think those quicker teams, Oklahoma City, for instance, are a little bit more difficult for the Celtics to match up against than Doncic and James.
I want the Sacramento Kings. Let's play the Sacramento Kings in the finals. How's that?
Well, hey, this is like when the Patriots are in the playoffs and people say to me, who do you want to play? And I always say, nobody. I want him to just be declared the champion.
Right.
I don't,
Same
I don't
here.
want, I don't want to play anybody,
Right.
I don't play anybody. Okay, so we're gonna move on. We got two more things we want to cover. I've scratched Pro Bowlers Tour off because we don't have enough time. But we're gonna
Oh,
go, sorry, Chris Schenkel wasn't available. I'm gonna go,
oh,
Nelson Burton Jr. was gonna be on the show, but Johnny Petraglia bagged out. It was gonna be a great show.
Earl
Anyway,
Anthony.
Earl Anthony. By the way, who was there a Nelson Burton Sr.? That's what I never
I don't
understood.
know. Question.
Anyway,
Dick Weber.
Dick Weber.
Dick Weber.
Yeah,
Classic.
yeah.
Is Earl Anthony the best left-handed bowler ever, or what?
Maybe.
Johnny Petraglia was lefty.
Oh,
too.
he was lefty too. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Okay, the Players Tourney, one of the more interesting golf tournaments. Like I always say, I watch the course as much as I watch the players that play in the golf tournaments. So why don't you guys kick it off? I didn't see that much of it, so I'm going to be hanging back a bit on this one, but I know you guys had some thoughts about it.
Go ahead, Jim.
Paul, you like to watch courses, man. That was fascinating because, first of all, you've got the iconic 17th Island hole. So, I mean, and they're down the stretch, by the way, kudos to the PGA players because a lot of them hit fantastic shots at 17. And, we know it's 130 yards, but it's difficult. And playing on, the island green. And second of all, the course reared its head in the last 2-3 hours. And it just shows you in that tournament what weather means. Because that wind kicked up and changed everything. And that's why I found it amazing how good the shots were on 17. And 18, what a finishing hole. I mean, it's the toughest driving hole you're ever going to see, probably. And Cameron Young, who's an emerging great player, and Matthew Fitzpatrick, who is a great player, and Oberg, who's probably a future superstar. It was fascinating to watch them. And when Cameron Young hit the drive of the tournament on 18, it was like 350, 375, and it was in the fairway. Just amazing. And, but the weather was the story. But I really enjoyed the tournament because you had, Ryder Cup, and the crowd started chanting USA. I mean, it wasn't a huge Ryder Cup USA, but a little Ryder Cup in there with USA. And even, I think one of the first times it started, Fitzpatrick gave a smile. Now, I might be reading into it, but he kind of enjoyed that too. So, I thought it was a very good tournament.
Well, I'm with the course, like you said, Paul. There's a few courses that every year I like the most. This is one of them. Obviously, Augusta is another one. But this one's fun because I always can't wait for him to get to 17 and the water hole, and that's exciting. And but I was rooting for the Thorbornson kid from Wellesley, who was, I believe, 10 under after 3 rounds, right in the top 2 or 3. And he had a bad day on Sunday. He shot 77, 5 over. He ended up 5 under. But I was rooting for him, a kid from Wellesley, at the top of the leaderboard at the Players. And he fell by the wayside because, as you know, what did Palmer say? You got to at least play par golf on Sunday, Paul. I mean, and let everybody else fall behind.
That was Nicholas, I think.
Nicholas. And
but every time someone says that, keep in mind his caveat that it depends who he was playing against.
Yeah, of course.
If he was against top players, he didn't believe that.
But none of the top players that day had like exceptional rounds.
Well, the weather, Fitzpatrick had a very good round. The weather didn't allow a 62.
Right. He was what,
somebody
68?
shot 60. I think the low was 67.
Yeah.
If somebody shot 63 on that day, I mean, was it Oberg shot 63 the first day, or somebody did, right?
I thought Matsuyama had the best round on Sunday.
On
he did.
Sunday,
He was 67.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 5 under.
That's a
Yeah.
heck of a round in that weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the guys at the top were 3 or 4 under.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
What
tell
I
you,
liked about the tournament was that's my sweet. This is what I've been ranting for 30 years about the US Open.
Right.
If you look at the leaderboard, they were 13 under, 12 under, 11 under, 10 under, 9 under. I like that spot.
yeah, it's
Mm.
a good spot.
It's not 29 under. It's not 1 over. It means the course was playable. It means that, each guy probably had a day where he shot 72 or 71, but then you have 3 good rounds and you can still be right in it.
Hmm.
You can catch up on Sunday. I think I think they did a nice job making the course both playable and challenging. And that
And
was what
they,
I liked about it.
but they can't control the wind. I mean, you're listening to these caddies and or the announcers, and guys are playing for 15 yards difference on their shots. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I can
Um,
tell you that in Florida this year, people have been talking about the wind.
yeah,
It's
well, yeah,
been that way in public golf courses, and it's
Yeah.
just
It's
been a
been
real
windy.
windy kind of
Yeah.
winter,
Oh,
spring.
that number is usually right around where the Masters comes in too. 10, 11,
yeah,
12 under.
yeah.
That's
Now, a couple other quick stories from there. One was that par four that you could, in theory, reach in one, but was really difficult. And some guys were just laying up. But the other was, I think, for the future, is Oberg put balls in the water on 2 straight holes
10
when
and
he had the
11, I
lead.
think.
That's interesting because you got a guy here who, from the time he emerged, I mean, he is one of the first players, if not the only one, I think, to play in the Ryder Cup without winning a tournament. When he played in it a few years ago, and or maybe not a major. No, it's got to be a tournament. Guys had to play in there without winning a major, I would think. But anyway, he's been labeled a future star. So is this? He's got to do what we've seen a lot of other people do, which is regroup and work hard, and his talent will come. And hopefully, he looks at this as, hey, I slipped up there, but it was a learning experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on to the NCAA tournament.
Woo.
We had mayhem again, usually on day one, and everybody's complaining their brackets are broken. This is the first year in a long time that I didn't play a bracket because I'm just throwing the money out the window.
Yeah, same here.
It's
I don't
very,
know
very
anything.
difficult to predict these games. And I think that, it's funny. Last year, there was mayhem at the beginning, but at the end of it, we had mostly number 1 and 2 seeds in the Elite Eight.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way it broke. Yesterday, first day, second day, more mayhem. Jim, you want to kick us off there?
Yeah, I thought, good first day. Duke was up down 11 at half, and there was a pivotal moment in that game.
Well, I was so rooting for them to lose, though.
Sienna's up 13, and on one possession, they missed 2 dumps to go up 15, and the game turned right there. Now, I still think Duke won, but, and in fairness to Duke, they were playing without 2 players, including their point guard. And then we had, TCU, the Horned Frogs winning. We had North Carolina losing last night in overtime.
Yeah.
Good first day. And, the tournament now with everything going on in college basketball, and, we need a longer show to talk about that. It was nice to just put all that aside for a day. And yeah, we know they're basically professionals now, but it was fun to watch a decent quality basketball tournament kick off, and it'll be fun today.
Hey, can I ask you, Jim or Paul, where is High Point University?
It's in North Carolina.
North Carolina, okay, because they beat Wisconsin by a point.
Yeah,
I learned this morning, by the way, that High Point turned down Scal's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said it on his morning show. Yeah.
And I was rooting for BYU because
the banter. Oh my God.
He was great, but he's from Brockton. I'm like, come on, let's go.
I mean, they had a discuss. I couldn't believe the post-game discussion. The guy who does football, who's one of the 17 people on the CBS preseason show, pregame show, he asked, "Is he going to go next year?" And I'm like, So Clark Kellogg, who's pretty good, he gives this answer about it's up to the individual. It's this, it's that. You're now getting NIL money. It's all changed. So then they go to Barkley. And he's like, yeah, players could benefit from staying in school another year. They develop more, they get stronger. Having said that, he's gone. And I'm like, yes,
right, exactly.
He's going to be top. He's going to be 3 minimum, maybe 1. Tankathon now has him 1. And last night he was fantastic.
Yep.
Well, the whole thing about you can make money in college is really more an argument to stay in college if you're going to be a low draft pick, not a high draft pick.
Right.
Because if you're a high draft pick, you're taking years off the end of your career.
Correct.
Where you make the most money.
Correct. And you delay when you get to your second contract. And then Barkley said, look, I know these guys are getting a lot in NIL, but compared to what he's going to get in the NBA, that's a dime.
That's
So come on. And Kellogg does a good job. Don't get me wrong, but I just found it kind of funny that he would say that.
They were upset
that answer was 30 years ago. Bill Walton, or whatever, 40, 50. But
that was a 11 beat and a 6, which isn't that uncommon, but still an upset. And
Big Ten had a tough day.
Yeah.
And now just to get Paul riled up, Ken Berman's UConn is going to play tonight. Paul, take it away, Paul. I love this debate.
Ken, did you go to UConn?
I've been there many times.
Yes or no question?
I've been there many times.
No. Did you attend UConn?
Well, I attended some meetings and things like that.
You cannot claim a school from which at minimum, you have to have gone there. You don't have to graduate.
I've gone there.
Because they say out of Duke University, Jason Tatum. I mean, he didn't even finish his freshman year. But at least he's there as a student. You cannot claim a school you did not attend.
I have deep ties. So, but you know what? I don't actually think they're really good. I'm going to be honest. I'm not expecting them I don't think they're that good this year. I've watched plenty of their games. I don't think they're all that good.
Sarah went to Duke, and I'm not rooting for them.
I know. Well, listen, I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry to interrupt you, Paul, but I love that debate with you two guys.
It's just ridiculous. Ken Berman's Florida State because his son went there. No. You know what you want to be? You want to be a Michael Brady and have 6 kids, and then you can claim 6 colleges as your own.
Okay.
I'm
invested. Cost me.
No.
I became.
I love Beth. Beth is a sweet, nice woman.
Yes, the best.
But she went there.
Yeah.
Not you.
Right.
You wrote some checks.
I paid a lot of
UConn ball marker.
I paid a lot of dough
have a hat
to be a UConn fan.
Not go there. So you cannot claim it as Ken Berman's UConn.
I went to the game where Patino came into town when he was coaching Louisville, and they beat.
Oh, you went to a game. Oh, okay.
and trust me, I moved her in and picked her up, and drove her every weekend when she wanted to come home. I was there a lot. I'm back and forth to UConn. I got attached.
I saw Navy play Syracuse. Does that make me a veteran of the Navy? Like, what is?
Well, you root for Syracuse, right?
I went there.
Right, exactly. I went to UConn in a different way, just a different manner.
Ken's UConn. You chose to go to North Adams State.
Oh, man.
You could have gone to a school with a Division I team. I'm sorry, you didn't.
It was either that or UMass, and I decided against UMass.
Well, you made the right choice because you had a good experience, but you can't claim a basketball team. Sorry.
Claiming it. I got 2 college teams, UConn and Florida State. That's it.
That's it?
Those are my 2 teams that I like in college.
Now, you see, Jim rooted for PC when he was a kid, which is okay, but then he went there, which completely validates it at that point.
Validated.
I was a diehard, I am still, but I was a diehard PC fan since the mid-'60s.
Well, so was
I went there.
Chris Clark.
So were you, yeah.
watching the games, and I still root for them, but I will never say Paul Izzo's PC friends because I didn't go there.
Right.
I get it.
Actually, Paul Izzo trivia. You ready?
Yeah.
I transferred to PC after my freshman year and then did not go.
Did not know that.
Did not go.
What'd you do?
I might have met Jim earlier, but I think it's good that I've only known him as long as I've known him. We would have got sick of each other by now.
So
you
when
add
you
7 or 8 more years to that.
Oh, man.
It would have been brutal. It would have been brutal. All right, we got to go. No more.
Yep.
No mas.
No more?
mas. We're hanging
Okay.
up.
Great
All right,
debate, guys. Love to hear
All right.
it.
We'll see you next time on Boston Sports Nuts. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.